Okay, so next project is one of Jerry's cars. Jerry's been a great client. I'll get a better count, but I think I've done maybe 6 or 7 details for him. He lives a couple hours away. He makes the drive. This one I did polish and we coated with Kamikaze combo several years ago, and he wants it repolished, and we're gonna do G on mode. Speed 4. This thing is surging. Three bars. All right, I got my wife's car in here on the charger, and we got this truck. But, see, we got this clear coat flaking off. I'm gonna add a little bit of clear coat to that peeling area just to act as like a glue to hopefully keep it from spreading. Because otherwise, I think it's just gonna propagate, much wider. It'll just grow. So we'll add a little bit of clear coat, see what happens. I'm gonna let it fully dry. I'm not planning on doing anything with this hood till tomorrow anyways. Get a little close up. All right, it's right there. We'll let it dry, get her car charged up, and we'll keep going tomorrow. cutting with the rotary is just way better. You know, I have no problem polishing with the DA, but cutting with the DA, I don't like it. It just vibrates and it's inefficient. All right, we're keeping things moving. The car's all wiped down. I want to start the ceramic. Now, a little different on this, but Jerry initially said just put Mo's on it. Then when he came here, he asked if I could do a second layer of Mo's. But what I think I'm gonna do is, instead of that, I'm just gonna put Infinite top coat on. I think this is a better choice for that second layer. It'll give the added depth he's looking for, as well as just the water behavior. The part that makes me a little nervous about this is just the soft black paint. I was using different towels that I normally do, just because it's so soft and it's so visible, right? There's no metallic in it, it's just black. Now Mo's goes on very similar to the Infinite in terms of it just beads. So it kind of sweats off, it doesn't oil slick. But flash time is quick. I just don't want to over wipe this thing. That's the only, I gotta be gentle with this paint. Now in the last video, somebody asked, if I would share more about how I get clients. I thought that was a decent or a good idea. But maybe this time I'll talk about why I detail, or how I got into this. How about that? But a little backstory is, let's see, I'm from Indiana. I went to undergrad in Indiana. I moved to Washington, D.C. a couple months after undergrad to start working. So I was in Maryland, working in DC. I started riding sport bikes, and we started doing a lot of track days. So my hobby for half my time in Maryland, if you will, was motorcycle related, and then doing track. Not racing, just track days. But at the peak, we were doing, 20 days a year. I wrecked twice on the track. Both times I hurt my hand. My left hand is a little beat up. I have permanent damage in my pinky and my ring finger. I had surgery on my pinky because I shattered it. But so after a number of years, the track just kind of lost its fun. I lost confidence in my front tire, and I was kind of over it. So kind of slowed down with the track riding. My interest was decreasing. And at the time, we were also thinking about moving. So, we started that, and we were trying to get stuff in order. Riding the bikes wasn't super important. any event, we ended up moving to Charlotte. I got a job for a mortgage company, a mortgage originator. My wife's a nurse. So, she got a good job, a promotion, in short order. It took me a bit to find a job. I work in finance. I was working for Fannie Mae in DC. I spent 10 years working at Fannie Mae. Really good company. I had tremendous, mentors, and it was really good working there. I went to grad school in DC for a couple years. But we were itching for a change. So we moved down to Charlotte. I had 2 bikes in Maryland. I had a track bike that was not street legal. It was just for the track. I had that, and then I had a street bike. They were both R6s, Yamaha R6s. So I sold the track bike before we left Maryland, and then I had a trailer. So I trailered down the street bike. It was a 2014 R6. So I sold the R6. I bought a cruiser, thinking we would go cruising in the mountains and stuff. My wife has really dry eyes from LASIK, so she was probably on that bike twice. I don't like having a backpack or a passenger anyways, so the bike sat, and then I started, I don't know, it was just some random day. I was like, I think I want to wash cars for people for some money. I needed something to do to occupy my time. We didn't have a kid yet. This was 2016. We moved to Charlotte. So I remember I made a post. I made a post on Nextdoor basically saying, hi, I'm Larry. I'm starting to detail cars. And all I put was a picture of this garage. And that really helped, get clients. And I started washing cars. I remember my very first client was Amanda. She showed up. She's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, we can wash it. We can put a sealant on it, etc. I ended up spending like 4 hours on that car. I charged her $150, and I just overworked that car like crazy. Which is fine, whatever. Let's see. So I was detailing cars on the side, and I was working at the mortgage company. I was running the treasury department, and then mortgage companies, different from Fannie Mae, but mortgage originators are really sensitive to interest rates, right? So 2017, 2018. Interest rates are rising. The mortgage volume for the company was just shrinking like crazy. Profits were down. So layoffs started. I had a team of like 20. I probably had to lay off half the team, over the course of like a year or so. And then it was my turn, and then I got laid off. I was so pissed. I remember just being so grumpy at it. And I was a relatively senior role. I was reporting to the CFO, I had a director title, but whatever. I got laid off. I was grumpy. Get over it. It happens. But at the time, I had 3 weeks worth of clients booked for the weekends, as part of just my normal part-time thing. So after getting laid off, I remember I came home, I called my wife, and we knew layoffs were coming. I was pretty naive to think I was going to avoid it, but any event, she was super supportive. She's like, don't worry about it. It was meant to be. You'll figure it out. But the thing with detailing was I had all these clients booked out. So, I got laid off on a Friday, like 1 o'clock. I went home a little grumpy, but I started just messaging all the folks that were on the calendar, and I pulled forward all of their appointments. Okay, so that was October of 2018 is the date I got laid off. So I was kind of, grumpy at the world, screw the man, I'm gonna work for myself. So I wasn't looking for another finance job. I was convinced I'm just gonna detail full time. I was looking at shop spaces and whatnot. And then actually one of my good friends from the mortgage company, he reached out and he forwarded me a job description that this headhunter contacted him about. It was a capital markets treasury focused job with a commercial lender. So this was in like November. So I talked to the headhunter. I ended up interviewing for the job. The job went quiet for a couple months, and then it came back in January of 2019. I ended up going downtown for an interview on a Monday, and then they called me back on Wednesday, 2 days later, to interview again, and I was offered the job on the spot for this, vice president, capital markets job. So in any event, I accepted that job. So I was laid off in October of 2018. I started at the new company in January of 2019. So for like 4 odd months, I was detailing full time. And I was cranking cars out. It was an interesting time because I was just working for myself. And it's a different feeling than working a W-2 job like I had been. Like I didn't care about anything else. I didn't care about my cars. I was spending, $0. I just wanted to work. I was working 6 days a week. Now fast forward that a year and a half rather, COVID starts kicking in. And right before COVID, so the commercial lender I was working for, or that I took the job with, was owned by a private equity company. I think we were 4 years in to the holding period. Typically, these private equity companies will hold a company for, 7 years, 8 years on the long end, and we were, 4 years in. But they started shopping around for a sale, and they ended up selling the company to a large bank, and the sale was finalized on April 1st. So a big part of these acquisitions is, these companies, are layoffs, right? So I was trading for capital markets. I was doing treasury, the treasury function. There were two of us doing that role. And then, they don't need me, right? They have their own traders. They have their own treasury department. So there I was yet again, a year and a half later without a clear future. But despite all that, the common denominator was the detailing. I was still detailing. Despite all this crap going on with my real job, I was still cranking cars out. So, it took me a couple months, but I changed roles internally. And I'm still in that job today. So I'm going on 6 years now with that company. And I have a really good boss now. I've been with him since like July of 2020. But had I not moved over, again, I would have been laid off. I say all this just to give some context in terms of why I keep detailing. The main reason is, finance is a I don't know. It's an industry where I have seen a good amount of churn in, whatever, my 15 years of being in it, because I like the detailing thing because it's mine. I can throttle it up or down depending on my mood, depending on my needs. And it's just there. It's the success or failure is on me. Whereas at work, I'm vulnerable to, all these macro factors that I can't control. And, getting laid off again is annoying. It's a tricky thing working for the man, because the man doesn't care about you. My boss says it a lot, that, this is a business transaction both ways. So me as an employer, I need to be happy with my compensation, with the job, because I don't owe them anything. The same way that the company doesn't owe me anything. Get severance for a bit, but they don't. There is no such thing as a secure job with what I do. Okay, I don't know if that was interesting or not, but maybe that's a little color on my background. Maybe next time I'll talk about, okay, now that you're detailing, or now that I've been detailing, how to keep that trajectory upward. I can speak to at least my use case and what I've done. In summary, I'm continuing to detail because it's mine, right? It's my little project. And beyond that, I enjoy the process. I like the clients. There's a lot of gains to this beyond the monetary motivation I have, but that's definitely a big driver. My independence or my self-reliance is a big deal to me. The economy is in a weird spot. It's been in a weird spot since COVID. The stock market is the stock market's more forward-looking, but the valuations, being 2x of what GDP is crazy. We have not been in a full-blown recession yet, but that could all change. But if we do dive into a recession, I think this luxury detailing stuff is going to take a big hit too. So we'll just have to see. This is day 3, and I've been working on this thing a bit today. I didn't record much, just cranking out the interior. But what I like to do is I just need to go over the car again, check for any smudges or any areas. What is this? This is Geon Quick Detailer. I like this because it doesn't have any protection in it, but it'll help remove any smudges. Now, if I have a high spot or something, then I'm in trouble. I have to, deal with that, something a little more intense. But, I went over it pretty well during the ceramic process. Now it's just about double checking, a little QC. The weather today has been crazy. This morning it was raining pretty heavy. It's been windy. Ideally, I would pull it outside to get a look at it, but I don't like this weather. It's not worth it. It's too windy. This thing will get all dusty in no time. And same thing down the passenger side. So I'm using that spotlight on the floor just to help with, to really see what's going on. This thing's clean. You know, for doing a single step correction on black non-metallic paint, this thing's clean. You know, 120,000 miles. See the hood cleaned up a lot better. Our panels look better. I'm gonna wrap this thing up today, Sunday afternoon. Or what is it? Oh, it's almost 5 o'clock Sunday. And then, you know, just have peace of mind tomorrow. You know, this isn't a 4-day job. It was just what was convenient for the owner as far as timeline for me. So, you know, I prefer to have the cars longer than shorter. I don't like rushing. That's not fun. But I mean, the interior is in really good shape. There's no, you know, what's that? I got a little crack in the dash. A little crack, but you know, this thing's clean. 120,000 miles. I'm okay with it. You know, 2500 diesel engine. The Cummins. What do the truck guys call this? Is this a Gen 2? I don't know what the Cummins people, I'm sure there's a proper terminology for this thing, but in any event, I'm all done for the video's sake, and we'll see what happens for the next car. Thanks.